Hi, this is Privateer Station, and today is day 222 of this war that Russia started in Ukraine. And today we'll discuss victories of Ukraine army and an ill-informed, although probably well-intended tweet by Elon Musk in the United States, and Ukraine's rebuttal to that. As always, in a form of discussion between Olexiy Arestovych, Lieutenant Colonel, advisor to the Office of the President of Ukraine, and Mark Feygin, Russian civil rights activist, attorney, and right now a very popular video blogger and Russian opposition journalist. Enjoy. Dear friends, glad to see you all on Feigin Live. It is Monday, 3rd of October, 3 minutes past 10 in Kiev, and we're starting our stream, day 222, with Olexiy Arestovich. Olexiy, good to see you. Good evening. 200,000 already watching us live. Over 33,000 click the like button. I thank everybody who joined us, and as always, please share all those 200,000. Share links to that stream in your social media and your groups. That will help us to attract more people, and we do have a very rich agenda to discuss. And of course, click the like button and subscribe to Feigin Live, to Olexiy Arestovich. Help Feigin Live to get to 1.85 million. Get Olexiy up, and also if you are watching or listening to that in English, subscribe to the Privateer Station. We appreciate new viewers and new subscribers as well. Alright, let's start with the map. What's up on the east, on the south? I think we have a lot of things to tell. Yes, only we can't. Well, maybe something we can. We can discuss what they're talking about in Russian forums and Russian chats. Okay, let's look at this angle. Over there, they're talking that evil Ukrainian military is advancing their offensive and Kharkov region towards Svatova. You can see Svatova almost in the middle of the map at the junction of orange roads. It's slightly towards 3 from the very middle of it. And Ukraine is approaching that from two directions. As you can see, two protrusions kind of going to it. And Ukraine already has under fire control the road that goes along the front. They're writing that something needs to be done, that they are to take defense that cannot be crossed, that Ukrainian army finally bumped into the barrier and cannot advance their offensive anymore. So we'll see. How can we not advance it? So over here it appears that you guys are very close to Lugansk region, because at the bottom of the map there is Severodonetsk down there. They are very close and probably gonna be next targets. If you follow the line from Svatova to Kremenная to Rubezhne to Severodonetsk and to Lysychansk. Mark, it is quite a while till we get to Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. You think so? Well, you can express ideas, but fighting is not simple. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it rhetorically. Okay, answering it rhetorically. Things like Kharkov, when we broke the front line and jumped 100 miles to the east in 3 days, they seldom ever happen. Here it's different terrain, different situation. We of course work there, and Russians are reasonably alarmed, and Svatova, likely will be taken soon. Severodonetsk and Lysychansk is still pretty far out. One can say that perhaps, they can get afraid and run away, same as they did in Kharkov, but they're actually pretty strong brigades down there near Severodonetsk. It's 4th, and they're pretty rugged from that DNR, LNR. What about Svatova? Svatova is a different story. That's an interesting potpourri of blind, limp, and dead over there, brain dead. So we likely will have much less issues taking that area. So again, we're not addressing the Ukrainian data, we're addressing what Russian forums are screaming, and according to them, the offensive unfolds and the risks for their front are very high. I want to tell you that those big fears that we're talking here, it's almost like Stephen King's novel. They somehow have a very high chance of happening in reality. Because those people who are talking, they kind of programming themselves, listening to us, those people who are talking in Russia. Yeah, Arestovich and Feygin said something at night, and in the morning, the officers are already nervously smoking next to the signs of those cities. Well, Mark, we have to keep perspective. The soldiers that are fighting there on the front, they don't really watch us. They don't care about what we talk about. Local news will be made by other newsmakers, by Ukrainian military. On the Kremlin side, however, we do affect. On the management and leadership on a much higher level, and on the wider audiences in Russia, we do have an influence. We should not be shy about that. They, of course, will transfer to their soldier that you should not run away, you should not listen to Arestovych and all that. But in these special operations, you have to be careful. I remember who I am and my limitations. However, every operation needs to know its limits. Right? And frankly, with my approach, I'm still surprised that people are calling me the main calmer of these war times in Ukraine, that I calm people down with my attitude when I really am not. I also have to warn that gauging capabilities and intentions and motives are very different things, and even professionals cannot do all three of them brilliantly well. So, looking at the front, we do have capabilities alongside the line of Svatovo-Kremenная. The intentions that Russian side is drawing on the map for us, we probably have it. Motivation, we also probably have it. The rest is fog of war. And the war will show. We'll see what unfolds. Let's go take a look lower at the Bakhmut level. Over there is some inertia, and they're still fighting, trying to attack. As in that anecdote, the house of the forester. And they still have enough artillery in that front, at least 7, maybe more tactical artillery groups. That is rather serious, and everything that Russia has that is still shooting well, they keep using in that direction, trying to grind what we have there. And infantry work there is basically limited to helping artillery to target our troops. We usually endure some shelling, withdraw, they come and try to occupy, and we come back and kick them out. So that's kind of the fluctuations on this front. From my point of view, that's complete madness what they're doing there, but one needs to understand this is only political reason. From the military standpoint, they should be behaving differently, but when did military people run their war? It's usually a politician who is running it on a higher level. So, let's go down south. Donetsk, anything? Yeah, there is a bit. Not to forget our troops who are fighting there. They're near Avdiivka. Putin's troops are trying to advance, and then near Mariinka, near Veselaya, there is a number of local clashes, including artillery and counterattacks, and they really don't have any perspective. But they're rather heroically attacking us, and we're grinding them down till they're done. On Zaporozhye, it's much quieter, it's calmer. Russian side is mostly concentrating on defense. Both sides do not do any active actions. They just shell each other once in a while and resort to using aviation from time to time. So in Kherson, Russian chats and evil tongues and speakers insist that the map we see here is looking very real. We do not. Our central command is the one who will talk about that, or deny or confirm. But according to Russia, we are biting a piece of the northern part of the right bank. You can see the green and the blues there. And we're getting to Dutchanka, that next place along the water reservoir, along the river. And they're trying to set along the bridge near Dutchanka. So it appears that you guys are moving down south along the right bank of Dnieper and cutting them off. Is that tactical plan? Well, Mark, this is not tactical. This is operative tactical art. It's called a little different, but it's interesting, right? The art is to finding a place where the enemy is weak and where they do not expect you. And probably both, weak and doesn't expect. So in this time, Ukrainian tactics figured out how to play the Russian defense. So some evil tongues are saying that to the east from there, where they have everything in concrete, it's not so easy for our troops. But we found a soft spot. What's going on near Kherson itself? Our aviation and artillery keep on shelling them, and today near Darinka we destroyed two pontoon bridges with tanks. It's a little to the north of Kherson, where you see the green tents. Underneath it is Antonovka, and there are two pontoon bridges in that area. So that's where they met some grief for their troops. The bridge is destroyed. They put pontoon bridge over the river, and as the tank detachment was crossing the river, they got hit. So that detachment is gone. Also, we are using aviation actively. That whole bank is a good target. We are choosing what we want to hit, and we get them. And they were attacking Odessa region today with their scary UAVs from Iran, retired mopeds, something like that, as we call them. Sumy and Chernigov keep shooting at across the border at Russians, and Russians are shooting at us. Belarus, yeah, they're using Belarus to shell us from that territory. Also, we need to mention that the head of the newly accepted republic into the rank of Russian Federation did admit that the enemy managed to enter Lugansk territory. Speaking of our Ukrainian military, just a couple days ago they were talking about never again. Lugansk territory is forever Russian. And oops, didn't work out as advertised. All right, we looked at that. Let's talk about other news. We've been live for about 13 minutes, and we have 446,000 watching us live. Over 110,000 click the like button. As usual, I would ask those who just joined, because it seems like you guys are coming in waves. Please share links to that stream in your social media and your Twitters, Facebooks, other places, and subscribe to Feigin Live, to Olexiy Arestovych, and to the Privateer Station if you are listening to that in English. Let's talk about another thing with the international side. We cannot avoid that today. Elon Musk birthed a tweet, the whole thread of them, about the war in Ukraine, and very expectedly caused a rather painful reaction in Ukraine, because these tweets look somewhat idiotic, frankly. They're somewhat disconnected from reality, or they're very motivated. Could be that intention behind them. I don't know if you read it or if all of our viewers saw them. They're in English, and they talk about Russia doing partial mobilization. They may go up and do the full mobilization. If the war will continue, the death toll will be very high. Russia has 3 times the population of Ukraine. Everything is done in the style of a resonator, a person who does not understand much in politics because he is talking about doing the correct referendums on the occupied territories with United Nations controlling. Not quite clear why did he decide to tweet it. There probably is some explanation to that. What do you think about it? Well, first of all, election campaign in states is ramping up. And I think he's a sympathizer to Republicans, right? Yeah, he more leaning to that camp. And that camp has a number of people who have strange ideas, similar to what he voiced, so-called Republican isolationists. On the other hand, and also one needs to understand that there is an intellectual trend on the West, which probably stems from pervertedly understood Christianity and Hindus of not causing harm to anybody who forces anything on you. So put bells on your feet, so not to step on anything on the ground, on any living creature. And if the tiger wants to eat you, that is good, because then she'll feed her cubs. So ideas like that, they do brood in these circles, and the higher they get there, one can understand there are probably quite a few people with interesting background there, and the more you probably find all kinds of gurus, astrologists, and others, and philosophizing attempts. And people like Elon Musk, they're very prone to falling into some of these ideas, because the sooner or the faster you rise, then the faster you realize that your view of the world do limit your income. So if your view of the world is narrow, you make less money. If your view of the world is wider, you make more. And speaking, just summing it up, and they're trying to expand their view and try to talk about different world trends and things. Remember, there was a psychologist, Peterson, who was very popular both here and over in the West, and he was rather adored until he birthed a speech about nothing is so simple and Russia needs a chance. So there was a big rebuttal to his work, to his conferences here on the eastern side of Europe, and yeah, he kind of went into obscurity for us, at least. And one needs to realize that Peterson and Musk, they do have connections. They do listen to each other. So Musk could be influenced with that. And let's first of all, let's give him a chance that maybe his Twitter was broken. But actually, our president and Michael Podolyak are already talking about that too, and made a few statements. Did Musk talk to Zelensky? No, he didn't. He talked to other official and big leaders. Oh, sorry, I think I was wrong. Yeah, when Zelensky visited, he did not meet Musk, I think. Even if it was not... Basically, if somebody hacked him, I'm not still concerned. I'm still thinking that's somewhat his way of thinking. This is what he thinks about the situation in his circles where he rotates. He says Russia is so scary, it's so big, it has a huge potential. Yeah, he's far detached. He doesn't see these rusty guns that they're given. He doesn't see the mobilized people being thrown here on the front without any preparation. So he thinks somewhere deep inside big Russia, There is some secret weapon and something is hiding. And deep in the mountains, there are stashes of magic weapons. One day they will take World War II style PPASH, put Ushankas on and walk all the way to La Manche or British English Channel. So he has that, and it's a connection of lack of real knowledge of world mixed with good intended views that if you feed cannibal fried kids, but tell him that this is wrong, that eventually cannibal may switch to asparagus. Right, yeah, that. And he's also a technical person. He's not a humanitarian. Plus, he's also a genius, right? So on the humanitarian side, on his intellectual humanitarian views, he's kind of teetering around the room temperature. And if he has an influencer, somebody like Jordan Peterson next to him, who is talking that he was in Russia, he drank vodka, he was wearing Ushanka, and I figured they're all good people who also want light, peace, and kindness. Frankly, even I think that there are some people in Russia who are kind and want peace, but I cannot detach from reality. Because I do have the general setup believing that people have more good than bad, than evil in them. However, if somebody does more evil, it doesn't affect my general setup, it affects my behavior towards that person. Including that, stupidity if you once in a while do. I'm just looking back at my life. Sometimes I could tweet something really dumb, and then I roll it back and say, oh, that was an experiment, and everything comes down. He actually had done something like that. He was manipulating Twitter with manipulating the cost of his shares with his tweets. So he could be reaching for something here. What's the difference between me and Musk? I probably put something like that once every 6 months that really rattled Ukraine, and he posted 3 in line, one after another. Oh yeah, what Fitzgerald said, what is the difference between very rich people and yourself? Just a lot of money. And, my stupidities usually reflect in the waves of my subscribers and the number of hashtags that have Arestovich is an ass, get out of Ukraine, take Bykov Latinina, and get the F out of the country. And in his side, his shares were reflecting of his tweets. And he actually wrote that the shares that dipped yesterday started dipping about 4 hours before his tweet. So, yeah, do you think that has anything there? Could be. Like somebody decided to quelch the pain of stocks and tweet something weird. Maybe that was the reverse connection there, but whatever. There was a physicist, I forgot the name, at the end of last century, 19th century, who decided to drink and use some drugs, and after taking them and recovering from it, he remembered that he had a great, brilliant scientific idea that he forgot to write down. So he knew about the dangers of drugs, but decided, okay, next time I'll be smarter. He took paper, pens, pencils, took all the drugs, and falling into obscurity, wrote down everything that came to him. So when he came back out of it, he crawled not to the water, but to that piece of paper to take a look at it and be amazed by amazing things he wrote down. And he read, banana is big, but its peel is bigger. And that's kind of the story that I think is repeating right now with Elon. And I wanted to say an important thing. It's a good occasion to do that. So, dear friends who are jumping out of Teslas now and saying, I'll never drive it again, vehicle is not guilty for the maker. Song is also not guilty about the singer, for the actions of a singer. There is also two different entities, an actor and his role in a movie. An actor is not responsible for the role, and the role is not responsible for the actions of an actor. They are separate entities. So when you try to turn on that cancel culture, that idiotic cancel culture, you fall into the same degeneracy. You basically fall into that trap of the Western students who've been taking Adderalls and all kinds of ADD chemistry to sit at school. They cannot stand when somebody has a different point of view. They physically cannot stand that. They ask to close the eyes and cancel that person from their world. So Ukrainians right now took a very good trend of heroes with this war, from aesthetics, ethics, and the art of war. Let's not fall into that cancel culture, because we have a lot of people who are educated in the West, and they took, unfortunately, some of the bad trends as well from the West. There are good trends there, there are good things, cultural things, but yeah, there are some people who brought that cancel culture here and who are peddling it. We have a printing house, Yakubo, very popular here, and there was a guy there who was giving an interview, and he was asked, who buys more books, men or women? And he managed to somehow give an answer that, of course, women, because they also use men's money. And it stirred a lot of crap. Some women spread their legs, others closed their legs, took pictures, posted it all on media, and tried to push that he was so wrong. There was a big blowback, and in just 2 hours after this interview, the guy was cancelled. So let me turn to Dear Ukrainians. We generally work towards Russian audience, actually Russian-speaking audience, right? So do not fall into that shit. We are wonderful. We are heroes. Our girls, guys, kids, elderly, we are the best. Do not take the worst. Take the best things from the West. Learn the languages. Read Shakespeare. Read Timothy Snyder, although he also said some weird crap. Do not follow degenerate ideas of cancel culture, and the ones who cannot take something that their teacher says and they are offended by that, and then they request the teacher to be cancelled. Don't go for that. We are strong enough to be honest and to openly tell truth to each other without hate and cancelling. So Musk is not okay, but Tesla is still okay, and Starlink is also okay. And if Musk flies to Mars, I will not fly with him in the same ship. I'm okay to fly in another one, and then out there on Mars we can talk about his dumb tweet. I want to add here from myself that Starlink systems that are serving to Ukraine military in Ukraine, they are helping them with connection and data, and they're helping so much more than Elon Musk's tweets. So be utilitarians in this. Don't be rough. He posted a dumb tweet. Yeah, he posted a dumb tweet, but Starlink still works. I'm hypothetically posting a question, but people will refuse Starlinks now? Oh, we have some of these trends, especially in the youngsters who studied in the Kiev Mogilyansk academies, and also the one that is very heavily influenced by Canadian feminism and all that stuff. They're running around and they're looking at our streams and asking questions, constant questions. Did Arestovych mention our little culture? Did he put the right accent on this? Well, it's unimportant, right? Yeah, my point is we must be very rich when we can afford to cancel operative communication systems in lieu of some cultural pieces and cancel cultures, right? We should have our fighters perish without Starlink, but we made a point with Starlink and cancelled Elon's stuff, right? I'm suspecting they will be very active after our stream today, and you'll be at night, because I'm putting all the right flags and baits here. After our stream tonight, you'll see my last name in a lot of tags, especially with the graduates from that Kiev Mogilyansk Academy. That will not that will not scare me. And yeah, tomorrow there likely will be a petition to try to fire Arestovych again. It gets repeated probably every 2 weeks now, and the office will make an official statement saying that they have nothing to do with official Aristovich's position. And I'm doing here good. I'm doing here good things. I'm taking all the hate onto myself from Elon Musk. Elon, remember that. Okay, so we commented on all these things. Let's talk about Russian generals and Kadyrov. There is a continuation about Lapin leaving Liman. He did come out and made a statement that he wanted to defend, but he is not guilty in retreating. And then there came a bit more information. I'm quoting the official statement that in the Western District there is another commander appointed. Information was confirmed by Russian business consulting sources. General Bernikov is now in charge of the Western Front in Ukraine on the Russian side, and he is a graduate of Kiev Military Academy. No, Mark. Bernik is Ukrainian root for the last name. His people were proper Berniks. We actually have a sci-fi writer. I have his book here somewhere. Olexiy Bernik. This one. Star Corsair, and this author was very imaginative, not weaker than Stanislav Lem. So the general's ancestors wrote OV at the end, and he became Bernikov. I totally get it, Olexiy, but okay, Lapin right now is positioned to be a traitor, right? And now Bernikov took his place. And Putin was the one who appointed Lapnikov, and he very rapidly evolved in his anti-career, I guess. It's a negative career kind of thing. Appointed by Putin, got his medal, and now he got kicked out. By the way, Mark, it's the 5th commander on that front in the last 7 months. And I need to remind our viewers that the Western military district is supposed to be the scariest to NATO, the one that's supposed to fight NATO and go all the way to the English Channel and La Manche and defend Moscow from the Western hordes. So that shows the degree of chaos in Russian leadership and the higher levels of political leadership. He also got a couple medals, and he awarded his son a couple medals, who's also one of the officers. By the way, when we take Lysychansk back, they'll have to give one of the medals back for taking that city. And did you notice the army was damn quiet? They were silent, deadly silent. There were a couple of statements. Whoever is the smartest, come to the front, but they're generally quiet and showing the quiet finger. Where is scary Russian military intel? GRU. But that's not the most interesting. There was an ex-head of 158th Army starting with G. That's a split. Grulev, is that the guy? Yeah. He joined Kadyrov. Yeah, he's now in the parliament. He joined Wagner leader and Kadyrov in their statement against Russian military. So the Federation is rattling. Russian intel also seem to be bickering around that. So you think this is not just a personal expression by Kadyrov? This appears to be a certain line that military are the ones who are guilty. In intel, we have a concept that everything that will be already is. So on any distance from the event, you can see some little things stemming, showing that this event will occur. And some people see that way out front, others see it a little closer. Some people, like Musk, don't see it after. These are signs of a very bad situation and a growing conflict in the political leadership of Russia that is going to just get worse. And there are a lot of signs. That process keeps going, and at some point, the quantity of these signs will become quality. So, do you think the situation can worsen? The Ukraine military can affect the situation? Of course, yeah, because morale factor on the field matters a lot. It used to be 1 to 3 in modern conditions, probably 1 to 7 if you have high morale that can affect your presence on the front. And that causes a complete fallout there and doesn't really help soldiers to go and fight and use their skills, even if they have good skills. Because military community is very specific, similar to, let's say, surgeon. Surgeon can be a super professional, but if he doesn't want to operate, you cannot force him to. It can be with different professions, but these are good examples. And military profession is similar. You can be super professional, but if you don't see the reason to use all these skills, if you stop believing in what you're doing there, you can already start seeing that on some of the directions. On Kherson, you can see that they're starting to crumble as well. They're morally and physically tired. They're even having issues with food. Of course, the iron will of commanders and understanding that there is nowhere to retreat. They are trying to hold their positions, but in general, it's really bad there for them. You know, even Francis Fukuyama came out and made a statement. He's got a good understanding of processes. He came out and said that in the near future we are to see gigantic processes in Russia, meaning that conflict of political and military leadership that is slowly unfolding there. He was part of think tanks for Rand Corporation and others, you understand, whom they write the analysis for. And he has an interesting angle to look at things that allows him to gauge what is unfolding now. So a lot of people are waiting for that conflict to come to fruition and the consequences of military defeat, that military leadership will be fighting with political leadership. I think that's where it goes to right now, and it's just increasing. You think this problem cannot be muffled down? No, I don't think it's solvable. The war is lost, so somebody needs to be appointed as the guilty side. This is the Russian concept, Russian style of doing things. Of course, top leadership cannot be blamed because that's top leadership. So it means that either military takes them out and blames them and does the coup, or political leadership will point a finger at military and just give them a night of long swords and weaken their ranks. Another question, where is almighty Russian FSB? Or KGB, whatever you want to call it, but it's FSB these days. Well, that's a good question. You know, there are a couple interesting injections into media sphere that became real prominent the last few days. That Ukraine is a huge trap, set up by the West. Oh yeah, these ideas were there for a while. Right, but now they're starting to look for who is guilty, who is the one that led us into that trap, who gave us wrong intel. And there it means an interesting thing. That if this point of view prevails, and it seems like they're starting to reflect this way, then it is FSB who is responsible for that. Because who was gathering intel? Military are tanks and troops. They're just doing what they're told. But gathering intel, and why should we go there, and why were we not met with flowers and happy citizens, and where did Medvedchuk spend all these millions? So the needle starts to teeter that way. And they'll be now throwing that responsibility for the failure as hot potato. And at some point, one of them will lose and one of them will win. Who? Well, we'll see who. That's interesting. If FSB started that game, So Donbass set Putin up a bit by forcing this referendum on them and force Putin instead of a slow annexation into a rapid and silly looking one. So it appears that power guys from FSB, they toppled the liberal side, liberal tower of Kremlin. And now if they manage to topple military, they can close borders and live happily in Russia and either get rid of Putin or control him better. Interesting. Okay, so Kadyrov, he's got bad relations with Lubyanka, with FSB, right? He's not friendly with them. Oh yeah, the murder of Nemtsov also showed that. And frankly, one can say that you can use Kadyrov to fight against military command. He's Putin's personal favorite. And one can say that Putin is not attacking his military, but he is creating that resistance and that pressure on military. FSB could be also controlling that process as another side and causing these guys to point finger at military and throw shadow on president as well. Because what will end up? They'll send Lapnikov to give him a machine gun, send him to the front to wash it with his blood. So we'll see if Lapin really gets punished. That means that there are new processes there. There are interesting punishment processes. You know that punishment is a bad story, actually, for the front, because if you punish one severely, then what do? You burn the other one. If somebody else fails, then you burn the third one. And what do you do later? Then you have to either burn the whole military top, because there are no bright generals there who can play a very desperate situation and make it a win. Or you're facing that military will continue toppling it and eventually might take over. And frankly, I would think, being military, they don't really have much in terms of future, because their future is either die on the front, lose on the front, and be captured and punished. So it's interesting how it will unfold. Although I'm looking at their faces and I'm not too hopeful, they could be dumb enough. And by the way, we're sitting here and I already see posts on Facebook that Arestovych is shitting on Mogilyanka and our Ukrainian culture. So I want to reaffirm here that Mogilyanka is one of our best colleges, and it is one of the best colleges in the country, besides the trends and the people that they have. But Mogilyanka itself is the saintest thing we have in Ukraine. And me is the first person to root for Mogilyanka since my childhood. Hang in there. We have to win. All right. Last question. We have 535,000 watching us. I withstood so many questions about Lend-Lease that this is fakery, this is nothing. So it's 1st of October now, and apparently President Biden doesn't need to ask questions for everything he does to support Ukraine. He can follow Lend-Lease concept. Mark, we are living in a big kindergarten, a daycare, kindergarten, whatever you call it. All that reaction to Elon Musk, to myself, all that cancel and hate shows one thing. What do people want? They want simplicity and they want very well-defined system. So in that system, if they're telling us that the 1st of October, Lend-Lease is starting, then we should see Zelensky on national TV marathon, wave his hand, the screen opens, and there are 12 aircraft carriers built by United States for Ukraine. Each of them has our Ukrainian names, Getman, Mazepa. All the jets get off these aircraft carriers, they fly towards Moscow, bomb the shit out of Kremlin. Putin is scared, running all the way to the east near Alaska. Finally, a special missile, Super Tomahawk 3, catches up with him, shoots at his butt, and he's gone. And on the stage, the confetti are falling on Zelensky and us, and just like in Robert Downey Jr. movie, everybody is happy. All the Russian opposition starts to say, "I'm sorry." Katz is ahead of them. He is apologizing profusely. Shenderovich comes out to Maidan, takes his hat off, and says, "Dear people, you misunderstood us." And at the end, on Maidan, they hang Arestovych with a special tablet on his chest for Mogilyanka, for Ukraine culture, and for hate of Ukrainian culture activists. And then the happy Ukrainian viewer, satisfied with complete and total victory in this war, goes home to, as they said in one movie, grow fruit. Although, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Shenderovich will be writing his things about difficult situation in Russia. Katz will be fighting for his own things. Arestovich will continue talking shit on the screen. And Putin, damn him, will be avoiding that tomahawk hunting for his butt for quite a while. Eventually, it probably will catch up with him. But yeah, not soon enough. So life is a little more complicated than that. But when it's difficult, everybody wants to make things simple. And we all want to make things simple, and that kind of brings us back to that group in the Western universities who cannot stay concentrated without taking an Adderall or another pill, and they have to post something or read something, who said what, and cancel somebody. And that's the world where we live in. And on the right border of that world view is me, on the right side is Elon Musk, on the left side is Elon Musk, and the core of this view is Mark Feygin. All right, we've been live for 46 minutes. Tomorrow we have a break, according to different reasons. Exactly, after all I've said today, we need a pause, we need a break. But on Wednesday, we do have a stream. At 10 p.m., right? Right, we do have a stream. There'll be another one with Olexiy Arestovych, and we'll discuss other news. Maybe Elon Musk will apologize profusely. 10 times until then, so let's live till Wednesday. Oh, wait, hang on, Mark. Friends, I'm not alone. Somebody else said Mogilyanka is shit. It needs to be whistled and burnt. I agree with Olexiy Arestovych. Oh, I have to again speak in Ukraine that no, this is a very important discussion that I started about Ukrainian culture and its influence in the world, because I do care about our nation, about our position of our nation in the world, and I do want everybody to love each other, forgive each other, including Elon Musk. And after that, everybody take hands, stop hate, stop treating everybody and engaging everybody from the view of your values. We're all human and we'll win, we'll win, we'll win. So those people who write Mogilyanka is shit, I will tell that I denounce that. I think Mogilyanka is the best thing we have. Mogilyansky Academy deserves all kind of respect and kudos, so don't take everything seriously. This is irony and satire. Right, I was impersonating here. I basically took the role of those who hate Mogilyanka. Because Arestovich doesn't think like that. Frankly, Arestovich doesn't think at all. He's just retransmitting up somebody else's thoughts. And hang in there, friends. See? I even wear the proper watch. I'm all yours. Don't hit me, please. Spare me. You'll need me. Yeah, I think most of them get it. Alright, most of you, please do not forget to share that link, subscribe to Feigin Life, Olexiy Arestovich. Make sure you send that to Elon Musk direction, and subscribe to the privateer station as well. I'm sure we'll see there'll be a wave of turds coming on the Twitter webs, so okay, get ready. Now your phone will start ringing from the administration calls, so you'll get For Mogilyanka, there are some graduates there too. All right. See you later, dear friends. Good evening. See you Wednesday.